Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of June the 13th, 2022. We have a really active and powerful sky at play here, but this is not an easy energy. Don't get me wrong, it's a powerful energy, it can get things done. It may seem like nothing is in our hands, like nothing is under our control, but perhaps that is the illusion this week because it is under our control, just not directly, more unconsciously. So, this is where, if we have done a lot of inner work so far, and if we are familiar what inner work is and how to connect ourselves to source and to attempt to see our own truth, our own light, our own uniqueness and distinctiveness, including spiritually of that which we were brought into existence with. So, we're not just virtues, we're also a lot of faulty elements, but it is this week and this period where it is those faulty elements that we don't very much like about ourselves. Now, if so far through our inner work, and so far means a lot of years, in the most optimistic scenario where someone was pushed from behind, maybe from 2020 onwards, but for a lot of people, this goes back even tens of years of soul searching and inner work and stuff like that. Anyway, so all of that bears fruits now, because one instant and we very easily get tuned into source, to our own truth, our own inner bubble, but we're also connected. So these are Neptunian waters that we have already learned how to navigate in, swim, dive, go to the surface, whatever. Now, those who have ignored their emotional, psychological, spiritual, call it whatever you want, side, those people are gonna be in a lot of difficulty this week because it's gonna be important. Now, first of all, one of the aspects that is predominant is Venus meeting Uranus in the sky. This is something that goes on from the previous week, and the North Node and Pallas Athena is also included in this conjunction. Now, this energy is very, very important because this is like an emotional value system as well, kind of inner revolution, but an inner revolution that will ultimately, one way or another, reflect outside materially as well. And this isn't magic, this is our choices, our decisions, how our love, our values, that which we love, that which we aspire to be, do, have, enact, play a role in, whatever, those will get us, drive us this week to very, very important decisions that we have to put down on the table for the universe, but also for ourselves, for us personally as well. And this week is a wrap up of some older energy. Well, first of all, remember January, February, when we had the Mercury and Venus retrograde. And in that Mercury Venus retrograde, both of these planets met Pluto in the sky in a conjunction. More than once, Venus herself 3 times. Now, this is where Venus will hold at the very end of the week a trine with Pluto. And this means whatever stirred up in our lives back way in January, February, maybe even March, let's say even March, even at the very beginning of April for some people. But these were either what we love about career, life path, money, finances, material situations, self-worth, professional worth, love life, partnership, inheritance, family, etc., etc. So do we feel like we're part of it, that we love it, that it makes us happy, that it fulfills us? All of these, as I said. Of course, for many people, this is not or. This is where and. So yes, job and the relationship and the marriage and children and this and that. So Venus was really, really stirred up at the beginning of the year. Now, whatever we have done personally that stir up contemplation, philosophies, asking friends, going to counseling, making choices, decisions, working, etc., we will get the rewards. We will start harvesting the rewards. But the rewards are inner, first of all, because we feel very, very sure of ourselves and determined. Now, the other wrap up is this present moment, Mercury retrograde, because this is where Mercury leaves the sign of Taurus and re-enters Gemini, where it began its retrograde from, and it's also the ruling planet of this sign. That means Gemini. We write it, speak it, express it, communicate it, telepathically transmit it, pray it, communicate it to the universe, whatever that it is, that is a choice that we are sure of, and a choice that already is part of who it is that we are. The future self, the true self, the sun in Gemini, part of our egos, part of our human identities, part of that side, let's say, component of the self which we generate, which depends on us. I am who I want to be, that part of the story. So we kind of know who we want to be. We know, but this is already Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, April story. We felt who it is that we are really. We processed it in 2021, all of our education conditioning, what we picked up from others, from jobs, from friends, from parents, from everything. That's already a past work done, closed. That's a file closed. The file that's already open, who we wanna be. And Jupiter in the sign of Aries this year, and then it will retrograde out the next year, that he helps us. Because Jupiter is faith, Jupiter is philosophies, Jupiter is justice, Jupiter is so much that we have to generate for ourselves. Because faith is an act of generation. We generate a reality, we generate a sub-element of reality, a nuance of reality, or we tune into something that generates itself ultimately, God-like energy. That what is a god? God is something that generates itself. A demigod is when that being is on its way there, but it cannot survive forever on its own, if you know what I mean. So this is the big difference. And the source, well, that's ultimate. But where I want to go with this is we're also a kind of source, and we also know how to generate, not as a creator, not even as a spirit, not even as a spirit guide, not even as an elemental, but we do generate a lot. Frequency, responses, choices, reactions, how we harmonize with our environment, with other people, with spirits, with the energy of the place, visual of the place, any part of the multi-dimensional version of anything. So we also generate a lot of things, and Jupiter in the sign of Aries helps us to generate that which we need to be. And this is both psychological, anything you want, because Aries is the head. You know what you need. The head will steer you there. So Jupiter is very, very good here. I'm sorry. And also, speaking about Aries, it is the host of another very important energy happening this week, where Mars meets Chiron in the sky. Now, Chiron is our wounds, and in the sign of Aries, we have to do something with our wounds. Now, if we make ourselves masters, kings and queens, rulers, managers of this, leaders of this, then it's in our hands and we can steer it safely. If we surrender to the wound, well, then it can go either way. Either it can turn us into horrible aggressors, because something was our aggressor. Nature, hazard, chaos, a person, a parent, something was an animal, toxin, virus, who knows. Something was our aggressor and it wounded us. That's how we got the wound, even if the aggressor is ourselves. And that can make us either 10 times more bad, worse, badder, and excuse this mutation of English, but you know, We have to express it for what a mutation which we don't want to be. No, 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 no. It's just as the words I used should not exist. And it can either turn us into instinctual healers to exemplify this energy. There are myths, legends, and lived tales when a baby animal or even a baby human is nurtured for, taken care of by a different creature, like something of other species, like the legend of Rome, if I'm not mistaken, where the Romulus Remus, the mother wolf, nurtured them with her milk, and they grew up into warriors, something like that. Or where, a baby was lost and a dog found the baby and kept the baby warm until rescuers came. Or hen adopted baby kitten, stuff like that. And this is also important because Lilith in the sign of Cancer, and Lilith, as perverted and as twisted and as malevolent as she can be in so many ways, her good side is that you can do that for even, you can be a parent to something which is not naturally really yours. You can be a partner, you can be a whatever, in the name of love and compassion and instinctually felt. And this is Mars conjunct Chiron. Instincts make us healers. This is the good version of it. Yet if this is also under our control, Mars demanding it, Jupiter demanding it, Aries demanding it, well then we weave it into our professional lives, into any aspect of life that this Aries means for us. So we weave it into our work, into our speech, into our parenting, into our shopping, whatever. And we weave wisdom and healing into the world by just being ourselves. Now, of course, what I said here is more philosophical. How are we gonna live it out? We're gonna be triggered a lot, very big time triggered, our deepest wounds, that nerve which really upsets us. And surprise, surprise, we're not gonna respond the violent way. This is the reward of it, and this is the choice. We will find it easier than ever. This is what I can promise. Easier than ever to not be an aggressor, to not be violent, to not say the bad word, to actually do the opposite, to try and heal and diffuse the situation, to understand the person. Of course, other people are going to be triggered and they will fight back. But if someone is an underdog all their lives, then fighting back is exactly what the universe wants. And they're going to be victorious and triumphant, mostly. So, don't you dare take this horoscope in the wrong way that I encouraged you to fight or be violent, because I am not taking responsibility for this. No, no, no. You must interpret this in a non-offensive and non-physical way. For everyone. No one's exception. But we will see this play out on the street, on the world stage. On the world stage. Somewhere in a movie, but this is where the underdog, the victim, is gonna fight back now. And it's gonna save itself. Because regardless of the outcome, the aggressor will be much more shy to attack again. But this is a very rare kind of expression for all of us collectively, and is in how we are gonna be living it out. We do something with our wound. Some people will take pride of it. Because, like a singing competition, of course the depressed suicidal singer is gonna win it. Because that's her motivation, she needs to win it to save her life. For other people, they just need to win it for ego. This Jupiter, but the wound as well, Mars, you do something with your wound. Instead of cutting your veins open, you go and sing. You did something. And not only will you save yourself, you save all your listeners. So imagine that, how fated things can be sometimes. So this is the good, other people, well, the psychologists gets a case where it's his biggest problem, that he couldn't even admit to himself. By healing the person, guess what he does? He figures it out and goes to a colleague, and next week he's living a different life. And everything was there at his disposal all this time, don't get me wrong, he just didn't want to admit to himself. Action, Mars, you do something, and it enrages you, but the rage, that enragement, because when Mars conjuncts another planet, at least in Eastern European astrology, it enrages the other planet, it energizes, but we call it rage. So, what does an enraged Chiron do? He'll even better at, what does a motivated, determined doctor do? Do the operation even better. Then he won't take a break. He can do it 12 hours if he has to. So an act of maximum courage, bravery, to be the hero. Anyone can be a hero. All you need to do to be a hero is to have a caring heart and the courage, and that's it, nothing else. Anyone can be divine and a divine tool to help another person if you will it. That's it. All you need to do is will it. So this is what this Chiron and Mars conjunction is going to exemplify in the world, in our personal lives as well, without a doubt. And on the world stage, now that's where things get a lot complicated. So this is where it stirs up an ancestral wound. It can be religious, of nature, or cultural, or ethnical, or whatever. This will be stirred up, and ethnicity and borders are going to be a big issue, because Lilith in the sign of Cancer is in the world stage borders. Mine, yours, my culture, my language, your language. And this is where it's going to be not so easy. Not very, very easy. So this is not promising in that sense on the world stage. But in our individual lives, it is more than promising, because the wound does not stop me from living my dreams, being this, being that, doing this, that. The wound does not stop. It did before, it doesn't anymore, because Jupiter, because Mars did a lot of cycles. That means that it energized, it became a much wiser Mars than perhaps ever before. A 2020 Mars is not the kind of ruthless Mars that we see usually playing out, because think about it, this war could have been 10 times worse. Think about of the could have. Or think about all the doom and gloom prophecies. Not the BS, but rather stuff of Nostradamus and people who you might just listen, not believe, but just out of curiosity. That which they said played out in almost like a laughable version. That's not by accident, that's wisdom. Dark wisdom, yes, you did not allow your punishment to enact itself, but also the good kind of wisdom where a lot of people did really not have to suffer. A lot suffered, but maybe not everyone on the planet, if you know what I mean. So this was the display of dark wisdom and the normal wisdom, how they alchemized and danced with each other. So they diffused the much darker situation already. Don't get me wrong, don't just thank the light, thank everything. Anyway, this is more than I should mention, because we have so many other celestial conversations that are just as important. But with this Mars and Chiron, of course you're going to be sensitive, emotional, feel it through profoundly, but use the help of Jupiter and make it your own, as in truly be the Chiron. Whatever act of kindness that you do under this energy can, how should I say, make you have the same fate as Chiron. Put you in the stars. Stars can mean spotlight, stars can mean your own lucky star, stars can mean your own happiness, so just do it. And also something very positive at the same time is the Sun trining Saturn retrograde. Saturn retrograde. We are the judges now. We have to decide. We have to enforce certain things in our lives. And of course, when Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius, power of the people. It's up to the people. So, yes, of course, we're gonna be seeing that play out on the world stage, as in Sun trine Saturn. The people have a word to Gemini to say, and media and all of that. The fight for freedom, because Gemini is just as rebellious as Aquarius, don't get me wrong. But the problem is that the Sun receives a square from Neptune at the same time. Now, this is not good news because the fight for freedom is there, but Neptune, be sure that you're fighting for what you truly believe in, not some illusion. As in Facebook group or someone's a really good spokesperson and they convinced you. The news, the media, what you see on the internet, what you hear from fake gurus, what you hear from fake prophets, and fake prophets, they're on now. That's Neptune in the sign, in the third decan of Pisces. The good expression is all that which you already know: arts, music, the divine source, miracles, magic, blessing, anything. The bad version, the dark spirit, alcohol is also spirit. So it's very demonic energy, really, but where it's very intelligent. There is a saying in the spirit mysticism over here in Eastern Europe: that which you don't know knows you. That which you don't see sees you. So ignorance is not a defense. You may starve it, but there might be one moment when you get into the game. If you ignore it, then make sure you ignore it till the end. And that's what we human beings cannot do, because we're selective. We ignore it now, but if it presents convenience, we don't ignore it anymore. So it gives the money or the reward or the benefits, we will not ignore it anymore. So ignoring the unclean, ignoring the manipulation, the tactics, the psychological warfare keeps us safe. But if we chose this path, we must make sure to ignore it till the very end. If we are immersed a little bit into non-ignorance, as in we cannot ignore it because we have mobile phones, internet, jobs, family, etc., taxes to pay, stuff like that, well, then we must have defenses. A very strong judgment and discernment of that which is true, that which is real, that which has North Node in Taurus and Venus and Pallas Athena, especially Pallas Athena with Uranus. Common sense. The divine is common sense. The divine is never, ever, ever, ever absurd and against nature. The opposite of the divine is against nature and perverts and wants us to believe that we are stronger, better, godly beings, full of light, full of love, and we are not. No one is. No, 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 no. That's an ideal and an aspiration that we are trying to embody, but we are not it. No guru is it. No one you can read on the internet is it. That's them just as us, living their ideals and them inspiring us to be stronger, yes. But let's not get confused. No one's a godly being. No one is totally enlightened. No one knows the truth, and it's absolutely okay. Because the divine mystery, the divine should be a mystery. And actually, if I would follow the divine rules perfectly, I would not make my horoscopes predictive whatsoever. Why ruin the fun? I should just translate what's happening right now from the divine perspective and nothing else. But I have to make it predictive because Venus is conjunct Uranus, and that means money, finances, economy will not go as expected. Rise and fall, crash, and Taurus and Pallas Athena. This is where it can affect food, it can affect so much. Prices, this is where everything is chained together, and if something has like a black hole situation where it's not getting better, it will drag everything into chaos, and that is what we'll see this week. But also Uranus with Venus, those who are very ingenious will just know how to tap into the opportunities that chaos offers, the luck, the fortune, the good side of hazard. One man's trash is another man's treasure, stuff like that, recycling, but recycling literally in so many ways, even in love. This is where someone is just made single now and they wanna kill themselves or something like that. And when they go to the bridge, the universe sends their way a really hungry for love kind of person. And there it is, instant attraction. That person was single for a couple of hours. And there it is, in a few minutes, they're already in a different relationship, different dimension, all on their road to healing. So this is the type of energy that we can expect under Uranus-Venus conjunction, where chaos can be the best thing that ever happens to you, but for those who have a lot of fear in their hearts, it will beat them up. So don't, this week, don't make big investments, don't make big purchases. Even if you feel something with your gut, take it diligently, as much as possible, but with minor risks. Do it, because it's minor. There is nothing that you have to lose, because what you have to lose is something that you would waste anyway. So for minor stuff, it can turn big. For big stuff, it can turn small. Uranus with Venus's reverse polarity. So this is the energy, but you can adapt it to your situation. If it's finances, job, cryptocurrency, stock markets, whatever it is that you are interested in, adapt it, because Venus is the flow of the currency. So chaos, Uranus is chaos. Taurus is stability. So Taurus means that that which should be stable will definitely not be stable, because Uranus likes playing exactly with that. But Mercury is in Gemini, so this will reach the news. There will be a lot of propaganda. There will be a lot of fake news, fear-based information square, Sun squaring Neptune. There will be a lot of delusion, and even when the Sun in Gemini squares Neptune, well, that's almost like a collective insanity, to be totally honest with you. Some people seeing the miracle in it, others people seeing the doom in it, and you might think to yourself, well, it can be that very much dual, so these two different perspectives are seen by people like you and me, so what makes them that extreme? So this is where it won't make sense. Don't trust anything other than your instinct and your, as I said, Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, common sense. The divine is common sense, nature is common sense, physical reality is common sense, spirituality is common sense. And if we know how to read the texts, even religious Christianity and most mainstream religions have a lot of common sense. So, nothing is really against us. There is no war, really no dichotomy, really only if we necessarily want to see it that way. And this is one of those weeks where, if we necessarily want to see it that way, the Sun trine Saturn, universe says, okay then, have it, live it, experience it. But those people who choose to do something sane, diligent, constructive, healing, nurturing, heroic, or just relax, just rest, just run away for a week, even that's the worst advice, to run away for a week. But even that is better than to live the insanity, as in to believe everything that you're told. No. Even spiritually, you are always, and this was never ever been differently ever, you're your own teacher, really, always. Just like Christ, if he said something, that was it. Buddha, that was it. Every enlightened soul, if they said something, that was it. That anyone can achieve the path of enlightenment on your own just by praying or just by conversing with the source and nothing and no one else. If in a nutshell, that's really what they said. Converse with the source with full honesty and you will get there. In 10 incarnations, 100 incarnations, but that is the only thing that's guaranteed. Some people fall into illusions and they have to do a chapter again. Other people this, and everyone has karmic blockages, stories, born in this family, that family, out of compassion. But Everyone has blockages and twists and turns and insanity in their karma. But it's simple, really, how to get to the good end of the story. So, because I'm gonna be interrupted, my camera, I'll get back to the rest of the horoscope in part 2. Thank you.